We decided to do the book because for a couple of reasons. Cheryl's an amazing photographer, and she has this
Hey guys,
amazing,
welcome
never
back.
seen before collection.
Now, if you missed our last deep dive, you'll definitely want to go back and check it out. We covered all the twists and turns that set the stage for today's story. But today we're getting into some intense chapters. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one. Chapter 6 to 10. It's the height of East Coast hip-hop. Biggie is dominating the scene, but what a lot of people don't realize is that behind all the success was Diddy, pulling the strings. Diddy wasn't just managing Biggie. He was teaching him how to flow, how to write, even bringing in top producers to create those iconic beats. He was the mastermind, taking credit for everything, and making Bad Boy Records the place to be if you wanted to make it in the industry.
I named it Bad Boy because I wanted to go against the grain. Anytime you go against the grain, they consider you like kind of bad. Nothing negative, nothing like hardcore. Just, I didn't want to be regular. I didn't want to just make records. I didn't want to just make money. I wanted to make history.
But behind closed doors, Diddy's lifestyle was a whole different story. We're talking parties that were more like, well, orgies. This was the inner circle of the music industry, the people who actually called the shots. And Diddy knew how to keep his position by any means necessary. Now, here's where things get wild. Tupac enters the picture. At this point, Diddy's in an open relationship, so Pac and Diddy's partner Kim, let's just say they hit it off. Diddy didn't mind at first, but he took things too far by trying to get Pac to join him in a three-way. Pac wasn't having it. He wasn't into that scene, and he definitely didn't appreciate Diddy's advances. Things got tense fast, and this moment would set off a chain reaction, putting Pac and Diddy at odds in a way that would only escalate. Can you imagine being there for that confrontation? Pac was there in Diddy's house, just trying to relax. And Diddy makes this move, basically challenging Pac, saying, "You think you can do better than me?" Pac was furious, feeling totally disrespected. Now, this all started when Diddy tried to get Tupac into a very, let's say, questionable situation. Diddy basically challenged Pac, throwing out disrespectful remarks, and, well, Pac wasn't having it. He stormed out, and from that point the tension between them was insane. Fast forward a few months and here's where it gets dark. One day Kim, Sean's partner, walks into the studio, and there's Diddy, having a serious sit-down with Jimmy Henchman, a big-time industry figure with a dangerous reputation. She overhears them talking about Pac, and Jimmy drops a chilling line, something like, "Pac doesn't leave the studio alive." Now Kim plays it cool, but she's shaken. She orders breakfast like it's a normal morning, but she knows this is anything but imagine overhearing something like that about one of the most iconic figures in hip-hop. Kim kept her composure, but in the back of her mind, she knew things were getting dangerous for Pac. This moment would be a turning point, with everything about to escalate beyond anyone's control. So, here's how it went down. On this infamous night, Tupac arrives at a recording studio, and shortly after he's ambushed, he got shot multiple times. Now he's wounded but manages to make it to the building's elevator, hoping to get some help or at least make an escape. But here's where it gets eerie. When that elevator opens, guess who's standing there? Sean Diddy Combs and his associate. Now you'd think they'd help, right? Call an ambulance or something? Nope. They just watch as Pac is lying there, bleeding out, without offering any assistance. From Tupac's perspective, this was all the evidence he needed. It looked like they orchestrated the whole thing. And Pac wasn't the type to let something like this slide. He made it out of the situation alive, but not without scars. He even lost a testicle in that ambush. But he survived, and this encounter only deepened the rift between Pac and the East Coast rap scene, especially with Puffy. This wasn't just some random altercation. To Pac, it was betrayal at the highest level, and he wasn't going to let it go unanswered. This night fueled a beef that would change hip-hop forever. It was a cold February night in New York City, 1994. Sean Diddy Combs and Kim were at an elite restaurant private booth, exclusive crowd. Even Mayor Giuliani had a table nearby. Now for anyone else, this would be a glamorous dinner. But for her, it's a tense, terrifying moment she's been waiting for to finally escape this life with Puffy. But what happens next sends chills down her spine. While they're sitting there, Puffy gets on the phone. She can only hear his side of the conversation, but his words say it all. "We're gonna release Who Shot Ya now." Now, for anyone who remembers, Who Shot Ya is that infamous track by Biggie that stirred the pot in the East Coast-West Coast beef, fueling tensions with Tupac, who'd just survived a shooting. And here's Puffy, cool as ice, saying, "Of course they'll think B.I.G. was talking about Pac. That's the whole point. Imagine how much money we'll make with this beef. Pac's alive, so let's capitalize on it." Now, this isn't just a casual business talk. She can tell by his tone. There's a threat here, a darkness she's feeling up close. When he hangs up, he turns to her asking, "What's wrong?" She tries to play it cool, fake a smile, but he's not buying it. He grabs her hand and starts squeezing, almost crushing it, asking if she's sure. She didn't hear anything. She's trapped, forced to give him the answer he wants. This moment right here? It's not just about intimidation. It's about control, showing her just how trapped she really is in this glamorous life that's actually a nightmare. As she's sitting there surrounded by luxury, she knows she has to be strategic. If she doesn't play this right, she might not get another chance to escape. He's not only dominating the music scene, but also intimidating everyone around him. In walks a young Sean, Carter the future Jay-Z. Carter's there for a private talk, but Kim was with them, overhearing everything. And this isn't just any casual chat. Puffy finds out that Chris, one of his close associates, was planning to break away with Tupac to start their own label. And how does he take it? He slams his fist on the table, furious, yelling, "Doesn't anyone have any loyalty?" Carter's clearly nervous, but he's ambitious too. He's tired of living in the shadows and wants to step up, even if it means betraying Chris. Carter finally blurts out his intentions. "I want his spot." And surprisingly, Diddy respects it. They share a moment of understanding, sealing a dark alliance right then and there. Meanwhile, Kim realizes it's time to slip out, especially after she's overheard this deadly talk. She excuses herself, taking a chance to leave while they're wrapped up in their scheming. It was an award show. The glitz and glam were on full display, and everyone was there. Sean P. Diddy Combs, Quincy Jones's daughter Kidada, who's dating Tupac, and the crew are all in the building. Now keep in mind that Kidada and Tupac are this powerhouse couple, while Kidada and Kim are super close. They're used to the limelight and award shows, so this is nothing new. But there was tension tonight. When Kidada shows up at their table, she's met with a smile from Sean that's, let's just say, not exactly genuine. Diddy's sitting there, feeling on top of the world, knowing Bad Boy is dominating the music game, especially on the East Coast. He's surrounded by his people, including Biggie and Faith, and he's convinced he will sweep up every award. But Kidada, who's loyal to Pac, casually mentions, "Pac's music gonna get some love too," and you could feel the temperature drop. Sean's smile fades, and he takes a sip of his cognac before giving a dismissive response. "Bad Boy got the hottest music on the planet, but I ain't trippin'. Everybody gotta get their shine, right?" She brings up one of the biggest suspicions in rap. She tells him that Tupac thinks Sean was involved in his shooting. The whole room is already buzzing, and Kidada doesn't hold back, throwing some serious shade right in front of everyone. Now Puff's trying to keep his cool, but you can feel the tension at the table. Kidada keeps poking at him, saying, "You think you're untouchable?" and making it clear she thinks he's responsible for Pac's shooting. Even Kimora Lee Simmons, who usually smiles, tries to defuse the situation, but Kidada does not. She's fearless, and everyone around them is watching. Then things get weird. After Kidada and Kimora head off to the restroom, Sean sits there quietly, taking in all the stares. But here's where he gets petty in a seriously messed up way. He casually walks over to Kadada's table, grabs a pitcher of ginger ale, and wait for it pours himself a drink, then puts the pitcher under the table. And yeah, you guessed it. He's marking his territory in the most disgusting way possible, right there in the middle of this fancy event. He smiles, puts the pitcher back on Kadada's table, and sits like nothing happened. So Kadada and Kimura return to their table, looking all calm and collected, unaware of the gross stunt Sean just pulled. Sean, meanwhile, is trying to play it cool, asking me which songs I think he's gonna win awards for, trying to keep the focus on his music. Now here's where things get interesting. Just as Kadada's about to pour herself a drink from that very pitcher, Sean's bodyguard, Jean, steps in. I think he stopped her right on time, risking Sean's anger in the process. Major relief on my part because, let's be real, it was about to be disgusting if she drank from that. We're back at one of Sean's infamous after-parties, and let's just say these events had everything. Celebrities, wild hookups, and a level of partner swapping that'd make most people's heads spin. It wasn't just about the parties, though. Sean had a complicated relationship with pretty much everyone around him. So after a particularly wild night, I woke up to find Jada Pinkett in one room with me, while Sean was coming out of another room with a couple of famous faces, including Will Smith and someone else I wasn't too fond of. They had all been partying hard, but Sean seemed way more interested in the company of certain men than he ever was with me. It was starting to become clear our relationship wasn't exactly as romantic as it appeared. Now, the morning after, Sean was already thinking about business. He was deep into talking about the East Coast-West Coast beef, even calling it lucrative, but also dangerous. One of the partygoers even joked with him, calling him daddy and telling him he didn't have anything to worry about. But then things took a dark turn. Sean started hinting that he couldn't protect people who weren't fully loyal to him. If someone wasn't 100% on board, they were on their own. We're all sitting around when one of Sean's guys starts asking some pretty sketchy questions, like really sketchy. Sean starts talking about loyalty in a way that sounds less like he's protecting his people and more like he's putting a price on that protection. And suddenly I realize this isn't just business talk. They're hinting about someone leaving Sean's label, someone Sean feels isn't worshiping the ground he walks on. And his message is pretty clear. If you're not loyal to him, he's not responsible for what happens to you. Here's where things get eerie. I start piecing it together, and I'm thinking, could they be talking about Biggie? But at the time, I was too young and too hungover to fully process it. Looking back now, it seems obvious. Sean didn't just mean he wouldn't protect Biggie. This could have been something much darker. Feeling caught in the middle, I couldn't just pretend everything was okay. So I pushed back a bit, mentioning that Biggie hadn't left the label yet. We're talking way beyond any regular drama. Sean starts ranting about loyalty, but he takes it up a notch, basically saying he's done protecting Biggie. And why? Because Sean feels Biggie's not 150% loyal. But when I try to talk sense into him, maybe appeal to his wallet, he just drops this bombshell. Biggie's actually worth more to him dead than alive. Yes, you heard that right. I'm practically sprinting for the door. I make up some excuse about needing to see my kid, and I'm out of there. But let me tell you, I left that morning realizing just how cold and calculated Sean really was. The relationship between Sean and Kim was toxic, to say the least. They're off again for who knows how many times, but Sean keeps calling, this time with a whole new twist. He's worried about his proclivities, which she just straight up calls his sexuality getting out. And to keep things under wraps, he's staging a new relationship with a video girl. But he's to control her emotions, hitting her with lines like, "You know I love you," and "I wouldn't lose control if I didn't care." Talk about twisted logic. Even as he's planning to publicly date someone else, he's trying to keep her emotionally wrapped up in his drama. He's using their shared history, and even bringing up her kid, Quincy, to try and stay in her life. But she's finally hitting her breaking point, and by the end of the call, it sounds like she's done. For real this time. So what's next for her? How will she deal with the fallout from Sean's manipulations? And will he really leave her alone? Stick around because the next chapters promises even more drama. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for the next part in this crazy story.